Welcome to Tech Savvy. My name's Leigh Newman, and I'm the Associate Provost for the LaGrange campus of West Georgia Tech. And we have a very good special guest star today that we're going to start asking her all kinds of questions in a few minutes. I want to make sure that everyone's up to date about the latest registration dates and times and the fees and things like that. We do have open registration going on now until the 31st. That means on July the 31st, registration closes. So if you're interested in being in fall semester, taking classes fall semester, you need to get to the campus or to come visit us online, www.westgatech.edu, and go to the prospective students, look up registration, look up the application. It's all on there. Of course, you can always call us if you have any questions. But it's important for you to remember the 31st date. That's the deadline for registration, because after August the 1st, which is the next Monday, there will be a $45 fee added to your fees and your tuition for late registration. So I'm making sure you understand that if you don't get everything done by the 31st, then there's going to be an additional fee added on. It's a late registration fee. So registration will reopen, which is called late registration, on the 12th, and classes start the 18th. Yes. So time's running out, and if you're ready to get started on the next step of your career and try to improve what you're doing now or just get a new job, we're ready to help you take that next step. We've got a lot of exciting things going on at West Georgia Tech. We are trying to do our best to get everybody aware of what all's going on. We've got all kinds of good programs that are high demand. The graduates are in high demand in our industries and business this day. And like today, we've got our healthcare classes. Our graduates are in high demand for that, and they're making good money once they get out. We're going to talk today. Ms. Robin Knott is our instructor for medical assisting, and I want Robin to touch on, to start off with, it's kind of like I call the elevator speech. You've got a few minutes in the elevator and you want to tell somebody about medical assisting. Tell us what you would say.
Well, most people don't really know what a medical assistant is. They've come in contact with them before, but they really don't know what they do. We're what people call nurse in the doctor's office. That's all we're designed for, is a doctor's office. So we have to be able to work anywhere in the doctor's office and do anything the doctor might ask of us. That includes, greeting the patient at the front window and taking their copay. That includes possibly working with the patient for payment-wise, for setting up payments for them. Even as so far as taking a patient's blood pressure and temperature, respirations, those typical things. We also can help the doctor with minor surgeries. So we can assist the doctor doing stitches or staples, and later on down the road, we are able to remove those sutures and staples. We also can do EKGs, or we can draw blood, called venipunctures. Phlebotomy is what most people would refer to it as. We can do that as well. We can do simple tests in the doctor's office. If you've gone into the doctor's office and had a urinalysis done, it was a medical assistant that did that. Or had a strep throat test done. Your child has a sore throat and they'll do one of those swabs in the back of their throat. We're the ones that do those. So anything the doctor may walk out and say, I need an injection or a shot for this patient, we draw up that shot and we can give that injection. Or if it's a pill, we can do that as well. We also have to be able to do patient education. So if I give you a new prescription for a new medication, you have some kind of education about what it is, why you're taking it, how often you need to take it, and
side effects,
all those kinds of things.
Right.
So that's a big part of what we do as well. So communication is extremely important. And now that doctors' offices have gone to electronic medical records and everybody's using computers, here again, we've got another area we've got to be really specialty at, is electronics, where we've got to know how to use that electronic medical system now.
Right.
So basically we are, the nurse in the doctor's office. We can run the front of the doctor's office. We can run the back of the doctor's office. We can be the manager of the doctor's office, for that matter.
Right.
So we're just his right hand.
Well, we were talking earlier about you'll see people that are not quite sure what they want to go into, but they always dream to be a nurse.
Every little girl at 7 years old, when you ask them what they want to be, it's either a teacher or a nurse.
Right.
You know. Well, a lot of people really don't realize what goes into being an RN or an LPN. There's a lot of chemistry, there's a lot of biology, there's a lot of psychology, there's a lot of courses like that that are 2 years of biology, 2 courses. In our course, you don't need to know so much biology because we don't take care of patients in the hospital. We are designed for the doctor's office. We were made for the doctor's office. So we don't take care of patients that just come out of surgery like a nurse would do. So the biology is not as important. We do anatomy and physiology. We need to understand the body, how the systems work, and that kind of thing. But there is, you know, the chemistry. We will learn a little bit of chemistry when we do pharmacology, which is the drug study, drug study of drugs. We'll do a little bit of that, but we don't have that concentration. So a lot of people go into the RNs and our LPN programs thinking, oh, this is going to be easy and a breeze, until they hit that biology and chemistry and math, and they're overwhelmed.
Right.
And they don't, a lot of people don't realize there's actually a step a little bit below LPN, which is where we come in.
Right.
Where we're not working with IVs and sick people, and you know, I always say we don't have to change adult diapers like some people in a hospital or work with IVs. We are designed to take care of the people that we see from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. that walk into the doctor's office and say, oh, I've got a little scratch in my throat. Can you help me with that?
Are y'all trained in all ages, like you were talking about babies versus?
Oh, yes, we do pediatrics. In fact, I just graduated a class, or am in the process of graduating a class, and I send them out into what we call an externship. So they go out and work in a doctor's office, not for pay, mind you, but they will work 8 hours and up to 240 hours total is what they have to have in a doctor's office. Our main interest is pediatrics. So they spend some time, everyone will spend time in a pediatric office.
So the student gets to choose.
They get to choose, but they have to, whether they want to work in pediatrics or not, have to choose and stay some time in a pediatric office and an internal medicine office or family practitioner is what a lot of people used to call them. So they work with elderly patients all the way to almost newborns, coming out of the hospital. They have that wide variety, and this variety gives them the chance to determine where they want to really work. So if they want to go into cardiac and work with heart patients or a cardiologist, then they can go into that certain area. Because sometimes people say, I want to work with babies, I love babies, they're so cute, I just want to work with babies. But you don't realize those babies are sick. And they're crying, and they're
not happy babies.
They're not happy babies, and people don't know how to take care of them, and you get really frustrated.
Right.
So maybe they'll say, I didn't realize I was going to be hurting babies by giving them shots and drawing blood from them, and I just can't take it anymore. And then I'll say, well, maybe pediatrics really wasn't for you. Maybe you need to go into another area.
Internal medicine.
Or cardiac, or pulmonary, or, there's so many specialty doctors now.
But your program prepares them for all these different specialties.
Oh, yeah, we prepare them for no matter what area they want to go into.
So it's a good stepping stool, like, okay, I want to go into the healthcare profession, but I'm not sure how in depth I want to go. So let's start with the medical assisting.
Let's start with that.
And it's a good basis because you do get a foundation of the medical field.
Everywhere. Plus you learn actually more than LPNs and RNs because they don't learn EKGs.
Right.
They don't learn phlebotomy, drawing blood and that kind of thing. They don't learn how, something as simple, I think it's simple as doing a urinalysis. They know how to read one. They know what the results mean, which I also teach them, these are the results, and this is a good result, this is a bad result.
Right.
But that's all they know how to do, is read that numbers on a piece of paper.
Right.
I'm actually teaching you to do that test.
Right, and to make sure it's accurate.
And make sure it's accurate.
Because that's a case of, in anything in the healthcare, well, anything anywhere, but in the healthcare industry,
100% healthcare.
you don't have an option
there's no
of being
options.
accurate.
It's 100% correct every time.
Right, and if you mess up, you could really.
You can kill, I hate to say you can kill someone, but there are some times when a doctor could give the wrong medication because of a test result.
Right.
And it could drastically, have side effects for a patient, and death is one of those side effects.
And you make sure everybody in your class understands the seriousness of the
We do multiple tests till I am positively 100% sure, as I can be, that they know how to perform that test and that they perform it accurately.
Well, the hands-on training is so valuable in this. And I mean, when they go to work, the first day of work, they don't really need training in the actual procedures. They need to know the office. The office
itself. That makes the huge difference. Right now I'm looking at the reviews of my students who have been out in the clinical area. And every one of them has said she walked straight in and immediately picked up the books, picked up everything she needed to do. We didn't have to teach her how to do anything. She knew how to do it all. And that's if you can imagine going into a job and your very first day, you're able to do everything on that job.
Well, it just saves so much time and effort for the doctor's office and the personnel.
Yeah.
Well, we've done with our first session, and we're going to take a little break.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is come back and we'll find out some more details about what goes on in your program. I want to know more about the students and what all the students learn how to do, and then the future that they have in this program.
Great.
So we'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to Tech Savvy. We have Robin Knight here today, who is the instructor on the LaGrange campus for medical assisting, and we're finding out specifics about the program that she teaches and the students and what they learn in these programs and how very valuable they will become once they graduate from the program to a employer, which would be a doctor's office. The doctor's office wouldn't have to train them in anything except the procedures, office-specific procedures. So, Robin, tell me, I think what's very interesting to me about medical assisting is the impact it's going to have with the Obamacare
With the healthcare reform.
Yeah, with healthcare reform.
There's a huge demand, and it's just starting. This demand is now. The Department of Labor has said that for medical assistants, there's a 29% increase, which is very high. High demand between now and 2016, 2018. When these healthcare reforms are going to be 100% in place. Now we're just starting. It's just an infant right now. And that's going to be more and more. So every girl or boy, because I've had some boys, that graduates our program, 90% of them or more can walk into a job. And in fact, at least over half of them in my class get a job at the site that I sent them to for externship.
Oh, that's impressive.
Which is great.
Yes.
And they're making somewhere around $27,000 to $30,000 a year.
Right.
And that's beginning salaries. So they're making in the LaGrange area specifically somewhere between $9 and $12.50 an hour. Now there is a difference in just being a medical assistant, because with healthcare reform, they're going to want these medical assistants to be certified or registered. Which I'm a certified medical assistant through the American Association of Medical Assistants. That's where I got my certification from. Certification is the highest level, registration is just under that. So, but most of them will employ both. But what's going to happen in the future is these medical assistants, and in some areas it's already started even in our community, where these medical assistants haven't been certified or registered. And unfortunately, they're going to be, a lot of them, losing their jobs unless they graduate an accredited program. Well, West Georgia Technical College's program is accredited.
Right.
We are
as
an accredited
opposed to
program.
a lot of the for-profit.
For-profit ones, you see them on television a lot. You can be a medical assistant in 18 months or 6 months or in this short amount of time. The fly-by-night programs, if you want to call them that. And there's a lot of them out there.
And they're not accredited.
They are not accredited.
And they're very expensive, too.
They can be, oh yes. In fact, I've had students that came from one of those programs into my program because they'll say, we spent $18,000 on an education and we can't get a job. And I said, well, you should have come to West Georgia and spent, I can't remember what ours is, many for an hour.
But with hope, it's
yes, I mean, I went through college with hope. I was a graduate of my own program. So, and I went through with hope some time back, but,
Yeah, well, but the thing about it is just,
it was
dramatically
very easy.
different.
Yes, we have WIA, we have Pell, and they pay for all of anything in medical assisting. And they will even pay for the scrubs, because our students do have to wear the scrubs with the logos and everything on them. They'll pay for the scrubs, they'll pay for the testing, they pay for anything you need. In some cases, even books.
Right.
I know Hope doesn't right now, but in Pale and a couple of other WIA,
well, there are other local resources too.
There are other local resources, and I even have resources. I have great students. I'm telling you, I have the best students. They actually even have donated some of their books back to me to be able to give to students who can't afford them.
So basically, the one barrier that I keep hearing over and over again about going back to school is the financial end of it, and that shouldn't be a barrier.
It shouldn't even be a problem, really. It's basically setting your mind to, I'm going to do this. I want to change in my life. And I want it now. We're an instant society.
Well, you gave me the opportunity to interview some of your graduates a couple of weeks ago, and they were very impressive.
Thank you.
You could tell that the characteristics that were necessary were the caring aspect. You've got to care about people. Your concern, your attention to detail is so important. I mean, it was just, they were very impressive, and they will definitely make good employees in doctors' offices as soon as they graduate. So thank you for letting me do that.
You're very welcome. I enjoy it. I enjoy putting them on a little spot every once in a while. And
I gave them some serious questions because I wanted to make sure that they were aware of what's going to happen when they get in the real world. So
it can be tough.
Well, tell me, all right, we talked about how much they would probably make starting, and I remember I read something about medical assisting and with the Affordable Health Care Act and all, because more people are going to have insurance through the affordable hair care, they will go to the doctor's office instead of going to the emergency room where they don't have to have the insurance.
Exactly.
So that that means the doctor's office are going to have to really staff up to cover the needs.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that the medical assistant will do is like the triage. Like let's determine
what we call triage. Yeah.
We determine the level of importance.
Yes. They're getting their basics and their history and all this kind of for the doctor, because the doctor has to know their histories and medications they've been taking and all that kind of stuff. And that's, we sit one-on-one. And sometimes the patient needs that one-on-one, that eye contact, and they need that personable help, because we have a lot of elderly patients.
Right.
And, uneducated. We are a rural area, and some of our patients, aren't as educated as we would like them to be.
Right.
And they can't read even a medical history. They don't know what to put down. They don't know how to spell something, so they don't put it down, so they're intimidated by it.
Right.
So sometimes they need that person that just sits next to them and say, well, let's talk about this. How did your grandmother die? Well, something was wrong. I don't really know. And so they can help them, and it really improves their health.
Well, problem-solving skills are essential in this then, because they've got to investigate and find out. And even sometimes they might not, the patient might not say what's wrong with them. They may not know a
disease, but they can give you an idea that, well, he had a heart problem, well, he had a cardiac arrest, but they don't know what that means.
Right. And when a patient's sick, it's very important for them to understand why they're sick.
Why we have to do all this.
And what the medicine is supposed to do. And I bet that can be a challenge in a lot of situations.
Sometimes it can be. Yes.
I can only imagine. But it sounds like to me medical assisting is a very rewarding career.
It really is. It's very fast-paced. It's very multitasking, as we call it. You could be doing something one minute. You could have a child that has a sore throat. The next minute you have an elderly person that's had a stroke. Your mindset has to change quickly. It's very fast-paced, and some people really love that work. It's in some cases, it can almost be like an emergency room, except we don't see heart attacks or that kind of thing.
Right. Well, you hope you don't have to see
Well, it has happened.
I'm sure it has.
And that is something I do teach as well, is how to handle hospital or office emergencies.
Right.
So, because, unfortunately, things do happen in an office.
That's the reason why they were going to the doctor.
Exactly. There's a reason they're going to the doctor. So we do that. We also teach the ethics of it, the legal aspects of it.
It's very important.
Because in a doctor's office or in a hospital, people become what we call sue happy. One little thing happens and I'm going to get a lawyer. I'm going to get a lawyer and fix that. Well, we can sometimes head that off.
Right.
By asking the right questions, making sure we complete the forms.
Well, that's what I was going to say, documentation.
Documentation.
It didn't happen if it's not documented.
It didn't happen if you didn't write it down, exactly. And that's number one rule in anything in the medical field.
Good.
But we also have to teach them how to do this ethically and not using racial slurs or anything like that would upset a patient.
Sure.
You would do that anyway.
Right.
It's part of ethics.
Right.
Just to be able to communicate properly.
Right. And the communication skills is essential.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Well, it takes a good, medical assisting has to have all kinds of skills, not only the skills of communication and problem solving and critical thinking, but they've got to also know what you teach them, which is the
everyday skills,
right,
as well as litigations. I have to teach those kind of things.
How long is your program?
Well, we have prereqs.
Okay.
For our program, which is just anatomy and physiology, medical terminology. They do have to take an English, a basic math. Math is where people go, I can't do math. It's a basic math course. It's not difficult. Basic English, a basic psychology class. And they do have to have some business skills, though. And that's where a lot of people go, I'm not really great at typing, not really good with computers.
You got to have that.
You have to have that now. In the medical field, no matter where you go into, you've got to have that.
Right.
So they do take two basic, a basic computer class and a basic what we call document class, where they learn just how to simply write a letter. That just
It's
that
important.
simple. It's very important when I have to write a letter to another doctor, another office, or another, to a patient even. So they do have to learn that. So there is, basically those recs can be done though in 2 semesters if you go as a full-time student.
Right, right.
Then they get into my program, which is 3 semesters.
Right, okay.
Now, it's a busy program. You've heard what we do.
Oh, yeah.
It's really packed. It's jam-packed program.
Right.
So what we do, we do 4 classes, which means you're with me 4 to 5 hours a day in a classroom with 15 other people. But we also have a good time doing it. You can ask any of my students. It's fun. A lot of them say, well, I want to do some more of that. I want to do. It's like venipuncture. They're all scared to draw blood until they do it the first time, and then it's like, I want to do it again. I want to do that again.
And we have dummies that we draw blood from.
We do have dummies.
That's good.
But the very final stage, you've got to use a real person. Yeah, I know. And if you're scared of blood,
we need to find something else for you to do.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll say, well, I just don't like blood. Well, any part of the medical field, I'm sorry, but you're going to have a needle and you're going to see blood.
Well, we've run out of time.
No, I'm just getting started.
Well, will you come back to see me and do
great.
Another program, and so we can follow up on this and say chapter 2 of medical.
Chapter 2, or any of the other medical fields.
That
I
sounds
love
great.
talking to students. They can always come and see me.
Well, that's what I wanted to make sure that
At my
they
office,
understand that you're on campus, you're on the LaGrange campus, and would love to visit and go into more detail about all this.
With even CNA or MA or LPN or
We've
RN
got
or
some
any of the healthcare
awesome
fields.
instructors. It's a wonderful, wonderful department, and very lucky to have it.
This has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, and please plan on coming back.
I will.
And that's end of our episode today of Tech Savvy. Please contact us online at www.westgatech.edu. And we can't wait to see you out at the campus. And thank you for joining us today.